Okay, so first of all, you have met with several ministries and representatives from the Thai government to discuss about child protection, right? So can you tell us more about what has been the main discussion during the past few days?
As you know, I am Special Representative of the Secretary General of United Nations on Violence Against Children. And I am using the opportunity being in Thailand to have a better understanding what is done regarding child protection and well-being in Thailand. So I had many high-level meetings, with various key stakeholders, because what is important is that child protection against all forms of violence goes beyond various sectors. It's not only the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security, but also it's involving justice, education, health, social protection, interior, the cybercrime unit, but also the local authorities. So for me, it's really important to understand what is achieved and where are the gaps, because I am here not to do a report or to blame or to rank, but what is important for me is to see with our colleagues who are here based of the UN country team and the regional team, how we can really provide the required support to make sure that children, independently of their status, are duly protected from all forms of violence and discrimination.
And what sort of collective framework that you have all agreed on?
Just to let you know what appears, you have a new government. And you have many big pieces, or small pieces. Regarding social protection, you have a huge number of grants for children with disability, cash transfer for families. You have the National Child Protection Strategy, the next one, and the review. You have currently the process of many laws that are under amendment and review to make sure that they are in line with the human rights standards, and in this case, the child rights standards. You have also many programs and many commitments done by your government at high level. There are big commitments they made that it's amazing. It's ending statelessness of children, statelessness by 2024. And you have hundreds of thousands of children who are statelessness in this country. And by 2024 is tomorrow. And they start doing it, but regarding, all this regulation and the understanding or the lack of understanding what means the legal status, it has many issues. So they need really to resolve it, despite the memorandum of understanding they have, despite all that. The other commitment they made is ending, ending deprivation of liberty of migrant children. And very frankly, it's wonderful to have this. And I went to this shelter, for Rohingya children who were, instead of being in detention, they were placed in a shelter. But my question was a little bit, I have a kind of concern, because if you are ending detention of children and deprivation of liberty of children, why they have to pass first by the detention center? Why they are not directly placed, in a kind of place that it's more, aligned with child rights standards? The other issue is also the time spent in these shelters, and mainly for the Rohingya and others, because the problem was highlighted also by local authorities and all those who are working, is the fact that what kind of life projects we are building with these children. And more difficult for me to understand, because if you are not preparing well, when they achieve 18 years, they can come back again to the detention center. So I think it's really important, and currently they are doing an evaluation of this memorandum of understanding, to do it not taking into account the perspective of ministries, but the perspective of children and the professionals who are working with these children.
And based on your observation, which one requires the urgent attention from the Thai government?
I think you cannot prioritize, I think what is important, when you are investing, and I insist on the word investing, in child protection and well-being, you are dealing with children, you are dealing with the parents, you are dealing with the communities. Because it involves many blocks. It involves justice, it involves health, it involves education, it involves social protection, it involves also Ministry of Interior, it involves all. So it's really important to make sure that when you are building that, it's translated in concrete services. And when I am speaking about concrete services, it's not having wonderful building, it's having the social workforce course, the staff that is well trained and really can early detect, the child who has a problem, the family who has a problem, to make sure that we respond quickly and efficiently. Because I want to remind you that you have also, hundreds of thousands of children in institutions. And these children have family and they are placed in institutions, and many of them are out of control regarding the fact because they are poor, because they have some problems that could have been resolved with family support, with really guidance, without putting children in shelters. So I think, very frankly, if they sit together and the entry point is human being and not, ministries, and to make sure that the process of taking care of these children and their caregiver is clearly established and seeing it as an investment, I think they can make it, because you cannot have sustainable economic growth without investing in human capital. And investing in human capital is investing in people through a life cycle approach since the early childhood.
So the key word here is investment.
Yes.
Yep. So how can we put the investment on social workers? Because it seems like in Thailand, social workers are pretty much lacking.
Yes. This is a big issue because, I am in many countries, it's more easier, to inaugurate a center, to build walls. But, human being and having this social workforce that are really living close to the population, that they can be reached very, very quickly and they can detect very quickly and provide the adequate support is needed, because if they are not doing it, I just want to let you know, we are not going to end violence. And the cost of violence worldwide, it's estimated at 8% of the global GDP and at between 5 to 15% of the national GDP. And the indirect costs on mental health, on learning, on productivity is estimated at $393 billion per year. So I am sure that if you do that, you are saving money. And I think it's really important to have this person. And in the same time, what is important currently regarding, because they have this big process of statelessness really to regularize. They have these shelters, they need to, but who is this person who can be the focal point, that who will ensure the referral mechanism, who can accompany these children? These are social workers, this is very important, and it will help to avoid these siloed services and making people running after services, but making sure that these services are really located in a place with the good social workers, and they will make economy instead of investing in many, many pieces of work that are not duly articulated.
From your perspective, why is it so difficult to end violence against children, despite the fact that many countries have always said that children are like the most valuable asset of the country?
I am 64 years old, and in my life I heard so many political commitments worldwide, and many. The problem is effectively all people will tell you, oh, children, yes, it's our assets, it's the future. No, they are not the future, they are the present, so we need to invest now. The other thing, we have to be very careful because it's becoming a slogan. And another point, we made, all of us, many promises at global level, at regional level, at local level, and we are not keeping them. And we are creating frustration and expectation. And I think, very frankly, I don't know if it's a lack of competencies, competition between agencies, between ministries, because it's so cross-sectoral that you cannot deal, you cannot be successful if you are not embedding. The other issue is when you are speaking about, investing in children, it doesn't mean only providing services, it means also governance and accountability. And we are really lacking in many countries monitoring. We have wonderful plans, wonderful papers, wonderful resolution, but these are not duly translated, into action. And in many countries, even the rich countries, you have wonderful projects in the capital, but when you arrive to the neighboring, poor, remote areas, borders areas, these are really low profile and very low quality services.
And in some cultures, children are meant to be seen and not meant to be heard. And many people often felt that children they don't really have a voice like other adults. So that was why people don't seem to care about what children actually want, even like the fundamental rights or all of these things. So what are your thoughts on this one?
To be very frank with you, I am coming from Morocco, and we have also this culture of not listening to children, and parents know very well, and the rights of children is becoming from these Western countries, and you will have a king or a queen at home, and it's against our values, our tradition, and so on. But we made things change because we are in a globalized and connected world. This is one. The other thing is really listening to children, having a dialogue with them. It doesn't mean that you have not discipline, because you have a kind of positive discipline. Yeah, I know that here it's a big problem of corporal punishment is still, no, we need to disciplinate our children by violence. And as pediatrician, I can tell you that all this violent discipline, or not listening to children, or not taking care of them, or maybe not recognizing them, have impact on their well-being, impact on their development, impact on their academic performance. So it's huge. And when you are hearing children and just listening to them, my God, because they are not complaining, they know what is going wrong, and they have the solution, and they have better solutions than we have. And they are taking initiative worldwide. Really, I never saw so many wonderful initiatives, peer-to-peer initiatives. They can make it. And in the same time, we are, in all countries, we need to invest, to have active citizens, productive citizens for the future. You cannot make it if you are not empowering them, if you are not hearing them, if you are not listening to them, if you are not engaging them. And mainly currently in a globalized and connected world. And I think, to be very frank with you, I think there is a fear, listening to children. And also because I think we need maybe to train policies makers and adults, because I think we have not the same language. And we need really also to make sure that these people are listening, the decision-maker are listening, the parents are listening. I can give you my own example. My mom, she is Moroccan. She was illiterate. She started to learn to write and to learn when I became student. But I never was beaten. And she was listening to me. And I had also to inform her and to educate her, because what I learned, I was also teaching her. So I think it's really important to see the people. And it doesn't mean that we are against. We have wonderful tradition. We have wonderful in all culture. But we cannot use culture and traditions to harm children, or really to make them not listened, heard, or engaged.
Right, and what would be your suggestion to other countries in terms of empowering children to speak up for themselves and not be afraid of the power imbalance that seems to be oppressing them from having a voice?
I think what it's important, really empowering and listening, just to let you know, many children are victims of violence online, offline, are bullied. And because of this wonderful tradition of not speaking to parents, they are not reporting to their parents. They are not trusting the system. They are not reporting to adults. So how we can protect them when we are not listening to them? Because the big issue that we are facing is a lack of trust in adults and in institutions. And what we are doing worldwide, for me, children as part of solution, children involvement, children participation, children, engagement, and children really bringing them on board, for me, is a cross-cutting pillar. And we did a mapping of all the initiatives of children, worldwide, and building networks. And what we are seeing, it's amazing. And what we are doing is channeling all these initiatives and these voices to make policymakers and adults hearing, listening, and seeing them in a different way.
When we look at the statistics of children being abused, whether it's physically, emotionally, or even online, and there have been issues like cyberbullying, child grooming as well. When we look at the statistics, how shocking does it feel to know that violence against children is so high here in Thailand?
And I think even the statistic you have, and I have just some numbers regarding, if I'm not wrong to not do mistake, you have 9%, of children between 12 and 17 years who were victims of online sexual violence and abuse. And you have 20% of students, between 13 and 17 years who were bullied. But very few reports. So this is not reflecting the reality, just to let you know, because the problem is all these forms of violence, and mainly those who are occurring online, but mainly those who are occurring in the circle of trust, in families, in religious organizations, in sport, in cultural organizations, are not duly reported because of fear, because of stigma, because of taboo, because of lack of, child-friendly reporting mechanism, or because of the lack of legal status, because if you are migrant and or refugees and you have no legal status, you cannot report because you can be deported or arrested. So I think the violence against children in all its form, in all settings, is increasing worldwide. What we are seeing, and Thailand is not an exception. And I think it's really important to make sure that we are addressing all this and addressing the drivers, and to invest more and more in preventing it, because first, it will have less consequences and it makes economic sense. I think we have not to wait to have thousands and thousands and thousands of children, victims of violence. It will be too late. And I just want to let you know that it has a huge impact on mental health, and the cost of dealing with all the consequences on mental health, the rate of suicide attempt, anxiety, it's crazy. And I think we need to be very, very, very careful to very quickly react, to detect, even if you have one child victims of one form of violence, is too much.
So from your perspective, since you've talked to many ministries and authorities, how well aware are the Thai government in terms of the problems that you have discussed, such as violence against children, cyberbullying, and all these things that affect children's livelihoods?
I think they are aware of it. Very frankly, we discuss a lot with, mainly with the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security, because they are the ministry who have to deal with, but to be very frank, it has not to be the only one. We discuss also with mayor at local level, because they are dealing with this issue and they need to be supported and they need to move forward. So I think it's really possible, but just what is important is to sit, because you have all the ingredients who are there, and to sit and to tell, because it's not about having only a commission, interministerial commission, it's really to make sure that it's really embedded in the national political agenda and in the local development agenda. This is very important. If it's not done, it's not going to work, but it is possible. But to move from this siloed approach and this piece, the pilot project that will scale up once a child become adults, it's too late. We need to react quickly.
And one last question, what would be your call to action for the Thai government or even nearby countries to tackle violence against children and to enhance child rights?
I think, we have good examples worldwide. It's when, at the top level, top level, when they see the prosperity of the country based on children's prosperity and well-being and protection.
All right, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
today.
You're welcome.